Well, hello, my information junkies. It's Michelle, and welcome to another intriguing episode. Today, we're traveling back in time to the mid 20th century to unmask the enigma of Jimmy Hoffa, one of the most notorious figures in American labor history, and the subject of one of the country's most famous mysteries. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and let's dive in.
Do you like to read episodic fiction? If you do, welcome to the story of Tommy and Josie on Amazon's Kindle Vella. Tommy is somewhat lost after breaking up with Claire, but he meets Josie, a waitress at a local diner. Bonding over music and adventure, they connect intimately over a weekend. Their romance is fleeting, but they realize their connection transcends time and distance. Will their whirlwind romance become a lifetime of love or fade away like a passing breeze? The Weekend is a heartwarming tale written by HQ, exploring chance encounters and enduring love. Be swept away by the whirlwind romance of Tommy and Josie. Learn more at the HQ website at www.itchque.com. This ad is sponsored by Sunray Multimedia.
Born in 1913, James Riddle Hoffa rose to prominence as a charismatic and tenacious labor union leader. He was at the helm of the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, a powerful labor union for many years. Hoffa was never shy about doing whatever he felt was necessary to further the cause of his union. And let me tell you, he played hardball, whether that was with the management during intense labor negotiations or with the darker, dangerous corners of organized crime. He was often quoted as saying, "I may have my faults, but being wrong ain't one of them." This attitude may have contributed to some of the more shady alliances he allegedly formed. And this was during a time when union leadership and organized crime were seen as interconnected. By the late 1960s, law enforcement had Hoffa in their sights. Of course they did. In 1967, he was convicted of jury tampering, attempted bribery, and fraud, charges that many believe were facilitated by his connections with the underworld. He was sentenced to 13 years in federal prison, but served only about 5 years before being pardoned by President Richard Nixon in 1971. As part of Hoffa's pardon agreement, he was barred from participating in union activities until 1980. However, Hoffa was keen to regain control of the Teamsters. His attempts to overthrow the incumbent leadership might have created enemies and could have been a factor leading to his eventual disappearance. Hoffa's life was a complex mix of labor advocacy, alleged criminal ties, prison stints, and power struggles. Hoffa vanished on July 30th, 1975, after reportedly going to meet two mafia leaders. Let's delve into the known details of that fateful day. On the day of his disappearance, he was last seen in the parking lot of a restaurant in suburban Detroit. Hoffa was supposedly scheduled to meet these two mafia leaders, one, a New Jersey Teamsters boss, and two, a local Detroit mobster. When the two didn't show up, an annoyed Hoffa called his wife from a payphone and then vanished. When Hoffa failed to return home, his wife reported him missing. His car was later found in the restaurant parking lot, but there were no clues to indicate where he had gone or why. No signs of a struggle, no physical evidence, and certainly no sign of Hoffa himself. He was declared legally dead in 1982, but not before the case has taken numerous twists and turns. The investigation has been one of the most largest in FBI history. Over the years, they pursued countless leads and interviewed hundreds of people. All of these efforts ended in vain. They even followed tips that led them to dig up a Michigan horse farm, drain a Michigan lake, search a New Jersey landfill, and then others suggested he was buried under the end zone of the Giant Stadium, that he was entombed in concrete at Detroit's Renaissance Center. And yet more exotic theories speculate he was ground up and fed to pigs or even dumped into a Florida swamp. Hoffa's body has never been found. Even though the case officially went cold years ago, speculation continues to this day. Theories abound, from Hoffa being buried under a swimming pool in New Jersey to being shipped to Japan in a car's trunk. Despite these imaginative theories, the truth remains elusive. His death, or more accurately, his disappearance, adds to the enigma that was Jimmy Hoffa. While it's likely we'll never definitively know what happened to Jimmy Hoffa, his legacy lives on, not just as a fierce advocate for workers' rights, but as the centerpiece of a true crime mystery that continues to captivate the public imagination. His disappearance is one of those mysteries that seem to resist closure. It has become part of American folklore, a symbol of the intermingling of union politics, organized crime, and the tantalizing allure of an unsolved mystery. Until definitive proof emerges, the fate of Jimmy Hoffa will remain a tantalizing enigma, a piece of useless information that continues to capture our collective curiosity. Wow, what a story, you all. I hope you enjoyed our dive into the mystifying story of Jimmy Hoffa. That's all for today's episode of the Useless Information Podcast. I'm Michelle Carey, your guide to the world's most intriguing, bizarre, and yes, useless information. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and remember, sometimes the most useless information could be the most interesting. And if you like what you're hearing in the Useless Information Podcast, please take the time to hit that follow or subscribe button so you're kept up to date when another episode goes live. And if you like what you're hearing, do me a big favor, leave a review if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever major podcast platform you're on. And if you're listening to this on YouTube or Rumble, please like and subscribe. Your follow, subscribe, and or review, it lets the podcast guys know, hell yeah, I'm picking up what Michelle is putting down. I've also expanded this podcast to Twitter. You can find me on Twitter at Michelle S. Carey. Thanks for joining me on this journey, and I'll see you next time for more fascinating and seamlessly useless information. But as always, I'm grateful for your listenership, and I thank you for being a part of the Useless Information crew. Today and always, until next time, be well, stay safe, and give love.
This podcast has been produced by Sunray Multimedia and Michelle Carey. Music by CreatorMix.com. The YouTube audio library and editing by Descript.